Welcome back to Persona and Pine Homestead. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than most of our videos that we've posted recently. It's kind of been a crazy couple of months here or whatever. I know like the last video that we shot, I believe, was the short of our chickens when we first got them. So that would have been back in like March or something like that, so a really long time ago. And I know quite a few of you are wondering, where on earth did we go? What's going on? You know, this kind of happened a little bit last year too, if some of you guys remember. It kind of happened where we like didn't post anything for a while, but we were expecting our 8th baby last year, and between morning sickness and whatever else was going on, it kept me pretty wiped out, and so we just didn't do any videos for a while. And then the videos through my pregnancy were very spaced out for sure. Today's video might be a little bit louder. I am outside, as you can tell. Of course, there's cars driving by. We have a kid working on the tractor at the current moment, doing some gravel work, and we have new neighbors, which they came equipped with some 4-wheelers, and so they're over there playing around in their yard. So if you hear all the ruckus in the background, that is exactly what is going on. So to kind of catch everybody up to speed, I know quite a few of you guys know what's going on. Most of you guys that are on here that watch us, I don't think you know what's going on. If you see the camera moving, it is not my typical video, because I usually am so much, it has to stay still because I can't stand watching movies that move around. So forgive us for any of the movement during the video. I am having to hold the phone because of what is currently going on in our lives. So to kind of give a little bit of a backstory, our 8th baby was born in February. Baby was fine. I was fine. We came home 2 days after the birth. It was our 7th C-section, as some of you guys recalled hearing about. We came home, and I was just having the normal like postpartum anxiety, you know, and stuff like that, not really thinking much of it. Had a day where I kind of was like, oh my gosh, I am so stinking tired. Like, somebody take the baby. And so my husband and oldest, they took turns watching the baby while I got some sleep. But then after that, I just kept having really like weird, crazy, bizarre symptoms that just kept literally piling one on top of another. It started out with, because of how I was sleeping and how I was holding baby all the time, I ended up having like my entire back just went out on me. Like, it just, I was trying to get ready for bed one night, and it felt like I couldn't breathe. Like, all of the muscles, the bones, I mean the whole thing. I went to the chiropractor, she got me in, and because I was still 2 weeks out, she just worked on the top part, so she got me all squared away, said everything was really out of whack from everything. The surgery was really rough, and I might make a video on that someday that I share, but today is not that day. Surgery was rough on my part. Everything was medically fine, and stuff like that, but we, you know, I started having some issues from that. Sleep deprivation kicks in, a lot of different things happen. You have a lot of different, you know, things happening all at once, and you don't know what's what, you know. But baby was about maybe 6 weeks old, whatever. My husband had returned to work somewhere around there, and of course, you know, anybody who's had a baby, you know that like the anxiety just kind of goes all over the place. And so I was having some anxiety, and I didn't think much of it and stuff like that. Again, he went back to work. I had 8 kids at home, doing it alone, didn't really think much of it. But I kept having some symptoms that I had last year that kind of were, I wasn't sure where they were coming from, honestly, or whatever. So I started having allergies, what I believe to be allergies, where I was getting very sick. Like, I was having to get up and make my tea first thing in the morning. And I was waking up kind of in a panic. I was freaking out, and I was having to make tea that was like 200 degrees, like so stinking hot, and suck it down while it was still hot, because I was like, I can't clear my throat. I can't clear it. It's not working, you know? And my husband, he went out and he got me all my salines that I asked for. I was eating throat drops with menthol in them to like clear this, because it felt like something was stuck between like my nose and my throat, like kind of just in the back there. And I thought, this is weird, I've never had this happen before. But I kept having issues where I started coughing all the time, and couldn't clear my throat. And if I would get worked up from even sweeping the floor, like just weird little things, whatever, like sweeping the floor, moving too quickly, like whatever, I would start coughing, which would turn into this tightness in the back of my throat, which would turn into coughing again. It just was like cascading. I mean, just all over the place, whatever. So I started kind of freaking out, thinking like, what on earth is causing, what could be causing this? It's just, I don't understand what could be happening. I just told everybody, you know, I have anxiety, and that's kind of where it laid or whatever, was just anxiety. You know, they call you up, what's going on? Anxiety. You know, that's all it is, you know, so that. But at the beginning of April, so that was in March, the beginning of April, I started having these symptoms where I've had them before. They're what we call disassociation, or you just feel disconnected. Like you feel like you're tired all the time. But again, you just have a baby, you know, like life. Sorry again for all the adjustment of the screen. I cannot use my tripod because I don't have it right now. So just bear with me. So we were headed to the city, whatever, in April, and myself and one of our children had started having, again, so sorry for moving it. Myself and one of our children, we were having these weird symptoms, whatever, where we felt like we were dreaming all day long, and just weird shifts. We couldn't tell what was going on. We just said it was because we were taking care of the baby full time, and it had to be that, and it couldn't be anything else. We just didn't know what it was. So April went on, and May happened, and we went to a field trip with some friends, and I noticed that at this point, whatever, it was happening a lot more frequently, and I was having these issues where, like, I feel like I was going to pass out again, like I had done when I was pregnant. And it's 1,000,000 degrees outside too, by the way. And so I myself, whatever, just started feeling very out of it. I thought I was going to pass out in the bathroom at the field trip. Then we thought it was because I wasn't eating enough, I wasn't drinking enough. You know, we started just rolling with 1,000,000 different things that it could be. So fast forward from there, May continued, June happened. I went upstairs to our storage areas. We had started to list the house, whatever. Again, we listed it last year, and we had listed it again. So I went upstairs, and I was organizing our entire upstairs. I was cleaning it up, putting everything into totes, labeling it, you name it. I was trying to get it really ready, because I was like, man, if we just have to come in here, grab the totes, and run, we're good. We don't have to worry about anything else. So did that, and then all of a sudden, after that day, I went downstairs, like to take some stuff downstairs, whatever, and I started feel like I was kind of going in and out of that, like I'm dreaming, I'm not dreaming, I'm disconnected feeling. And that day, I laid down on my bed, and I texted everybody, I said, I can't do it anymore, like I'm crashing, like why am I crashing? Like, I mean, I've been doing this forever, like why on earth is this happening? And we thought it was all sorts of things, you know? Well, I went to my NP, and she was like, the first time she was like, oh, just try some yoga, try some stuff, you know, and that's great. I was all game for that. The second time, I wasn't regulating at all. I was becoming a blubbering, squalling mess, whatever. And so we did blood work and whatever, but we started a prescription antidepressant at that point. I may or may not have told my story before. After our sixth child was born, I had also went on antidepressants for a very short period of time, because I was having very similar symptoms and stuff like that. So we started an antidepressant, and that antidepressant made me loony. I am not even joking. I took the antidepressant for 5 days, I believe. I took a child dose of it. The first day, I just felt a little like calm. The second day, I felt tired. The third day, I felt rageful. The fourth day, my husband had to call out of work, which had never happened so far this time around. He had to call out of work, whatever, because I was having very, very dark thoughts and very dark speech. I'm not going to go into that. I don't like talking about it. I know that it's kind of going around right now that people are talking about it because of recent events. And I have to say it does kind of make me uncomfortable, because I feel like I'm one of those people that I feel like if you talk about it, you kind of almost like open yourself up to welcoming it. And I don't talk about it because it's not that it doesn't exist and that it doesn't need to be spoken about, but I try really hard to keep those thoughts at bay. I don't like those kinds of thoughts. So it happened like that. And so to kind of give a little bit of a preview to that part there, it caused me to be outside of my husband, where he had a huge bonfire going, and my body felt very out of control, and I felt as if I would throw myself into the bonfire. Obviously I did not, and I thank God that I did not, because I prayed the whole time, please God, don't even allow me to even entertain the idea, like just don't. And so I even debated crawling back into our home because it was so scary. I, had random thoughts similar before that, like very passing thoughts, what my doctor had said were more like intrusive thoughts, because they weren't welcome, and they never are welcome. I don't like them at all. So not like I wanted to do it, but like my body felt very not my own at that point. So we tried the medicine again the next day, again, little kid doses, and it sucked yet again. Didn't like it in any capacity. It made me feel weird. So I left it at that. I said, I don't want to take it anymore. And I felt okay the next day. I should have just left it alone. I really should have, whatever. And I didn't. I had somebody bring up those thoughts again, and I'm going to try not to cry, but I probably will cry. Somebody brought up those thoughts, whatever, and my body started to freak out a little bit, because I was like, no, I don't want to talk about that, And I left it at that, and I called my husband home, because I was like, this is happening. By the time he actually was able to come home, I had taken some anxiety medication that I had, and laid down and watched TV. Like I was done. And then I stayed off of medication for a little while, but I had someone recommend another one, and I thought, well, okay, I'll try that, because it worked beautifully for her. So I said, okay, I'll try the second one. These both were ones I never tried before, and so I tried the second one, and upon trying it, it created the same situation again. In which case, the situation was kind of like the first day, kind of relaxed. The second day, I felt, I don't even know, I couldn't even describe what I felt. I just kind of felt like relaxed and felt like myself for a couple of days and stuff like that. And then once I got to like day 5 or something, I started feeling depressed, and I told my husband, I'm like, I'm feeling pretty depressed. I really don't want to take it, but whatever. But again, providers will tell you to keep pushing, whatever, like work those side effects, you name it. So I think I took it either 5 or 6 days. I think I took it 6 days the first go around, and it made me really depressed feeling. So I didn't take it the next day, and I felt somewhat normal. And then I had a couple of somewhat normal days, but then I had a day where I started to kind of freak out a little bit and thought, oh my gosh, I need to go back on it. So I went back on it for a day. Then once I took it that day, I felt off again. So I'm like, not again. Didn't take it a couple days, then tried it again one day, same reaction. And then I was like, okay, maybe if I just stick with it, maybe those side effects will just go away. They'll just disappear altogether. So I tried it for a couple of days, whatever. And it got to a point where it's kind of, looking back, it's really scary to even talk about, but I feel like it needs to be talked about a little bit more, because I know I can't be the only one. So I tried the medicine again, and I will let you know that both these medications are given to children also, because I was taking the liquid form of them, that I was taking child doses, not even child doses, like these weren't even child doses. I was taking really small amounts. And I took that medication on a Friday, and the Friday I felt somewhat okay. Saturday I started feeling a little off. I started getting like really angry, like for no reason. Sunday, I woke up feeling very out of my head and very off. And Monday, I had to tell my husband that he could not go to work, because if he went to work, that I was going to hurt myself, because the medication was making me feel that way. It was amplifying everything. And that day we tested it out to see if that was exactly the reason, you know. And sure enough, he gave me the medicine again or whatever, because he was staying home with me. And just like clockwork, within about 45 minutes to an hour, the agitation started, and then the very intrusive, dark thoughts happened right after that, which lasted all day and into the night. And I started getting very like sweaty, very sick feeling, and I didn't feel well at all. So the next morning I met with my NP or whatever, and you know, she was just kind of like, well, maybe you're reading too far into the side effects, you know, and stuff like that, and you know, whatever. And I was like, well, I don't really know, but I don't feel good on them, I know that much. And so I stopped taking them. Looking back, whatever, I should have just kind of been like, okay, I'm gonna take something in the middle of this, whatever, which I didn't originally. I had an anxiety medication that was already given to me at this point, and thankfully that NP was able to get a doctor to prescribe a stronger anti-anxiety medication, whatever, for me for in the meantime. So I took the, you know, basic antihistamine, anti-anxiety medication, whatever, and like just kind of rode that one out, you know, and stuff like that. And there were days that I felt a little bit better, and then there were days that I felt worse. It held no rhyme and reason, honestly. And it got to a point where I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep, and I just felt awful, like just completely terrible, to the point where one day in particular I had to take its hydroxyzine, which is Vistaril, and I had to take and eat them like they were candy one day, because I couldn't get my brain to stop. My brain just was buzzing, and I wasn't feeling well and stuff like that. And I kept just saying like, oh, it's just from the medication, and I really do think it was the medication and other things, you know. But I just got to the point where I was like, man, this is so weird. I've never had to do this before. I've never had to just eat medication all day long. I'm not somebody like that. I'm not doing this, you know. And my husband, you know, is off at this time trying to help me through all this, because I'm like, I can't grasp it. I can't grasp why I'm having these symptoms and stuff. And I just wasn't able to really keep myself together. I was going through life, but as if I were like walking through mud, you know, and still to this day, whatever, still feel that way. Sorry for like all the snot and the tears and everything like that. You know, but so to finish all that up, I stopped that medication, and then I thought, okay, I went to the hospital. My husband works at the hospital. I went to the hospital one night because I was like, I feel really out of it and I don't feel well. And so I went to the hospital, and they gave me Ativan to calm me down and stuff like that, and ran labs, and I had a CT ran on my abdomen to make sure there was nothing like blocking anything, you know, because I was having trouble eating. And they checked me over, and they're like, you're fine, everything's good, you know, whatever, sent me on my way. And I thought, you know, that's fine then, that's that. And I came home, and I wasn't on medication at this point in time. I had asked for another one to be given to me, which was one I actually took after our 6th child was born. And it's actually like an antihistamine type of antidepressant, so it helps with like eating and sleeping and all that crap, you know. So I said, can I have that one instead? I took it after our 6th one, and they were like, yeah, you can take it. I should have stopped at 2 and just said, stop, you know, no more. But I was desperate for something to fix something, you know. So I decided that I needed another medication and all of this. Again, sorry for all the crying. Sorry for all the moving. Like, so I went, and they gave me the other medication, whatever, to take. I had a script for Ativan at home. I am somebody who just absolutely hates to take pills because it's like, you know, you don't need a pill for everything. So I just kind of left it, you know, I took the Vistaril and left everything else alone, whatever. But one night I got to a point where I couldn't fall asleep. I was having such hard times falling asleep that one night I kept feeling like I was going crazy every day. And my husband, being very supportive, even though he didn't understand what was going on, the man never wears a shirt to bed, but the man decided to wear a shirt to bed so that we could attach our shirts. Well, I had a gown on, but a church attach our close together so I couldn't run away in the middle of the night because I felt scared of my own self, because I was like, what is happening to me? I've never felt like this before. And he was super supportive and all of that. And I just kept praying, like, God, don't let me be, you know, don't let me be one of those people that does something they don't want to, and don't let me do anything scary or, you know, something like that. So I fell asleep and I slept okay, but the next night came and we had a city trip following the next day, and I had to take, like, I don't even remember, maybe like 50 milligrams or something crazy like that of Vistaril and 0.5 milligram of Ativan to even get to sleep. And for people who are watching this and you know those two medications, you know that's a lot. That's a lot to get to sleep. And I got 3 hours of sleep and I had to get up to go to the city for our dental work. I got up there and my hygienist was amazing. She said, you know, I think you should really look into IV infusions, because like you could probably really benefit from it because you've been nursing for so long and you're probably depleted and all that. So I, you know, thought about that. I was gonna go to a Chinese herbalist while we were up there, and I didn't get around to that day. But that night we came home and I was like, man, I feel so confused. Like my body just feels off, you know, and stuff like that. And so I didn't really know what was going on, but I called a provider locally to ask for them to prescribe me or to let me have a IV infusion. So I went to go get one of those done, and I had that done and everything like that. So changed position. You might get a little louder over here. I was sitting over by our garage and it's way too hot over there. It feels a little cooler over where I'm sitting now. So I went in for an infusion and everything like that. I didn't feel very well. I didn't feel well later either. Like I kept spacing out is what I was telling people. It was like as if like my brain just couldn't grasp like what was going on. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't figure out what was happening to me. So I had told my husband, I said, I really think we have mold in our house. I mean, everything points to that, and my symptoms, everything, you know, kind of goes hand in hand, because it wasn't just me having the symptoms. Like, it was me having the major symptoms, but it wasn't me having just a symptom. So I said, it's gotta be something else. Like, something else has gotta be the problem. And so I said, I'm not going home. We're going to an Airbnb. We're not going home. So we collected the kids and we headed to an Airbnb. At this point in time, I'm riding with our 16-year-old to the Airbnb, and I am having memory lapses. Like, it's insane. We were driving along and like my brain, it was just like, what is happening? Where am I? Where are we going? What's happening to me? I don't even know. So we're driving along and everything like that, and she just keeps, you know, like saying, you know, like talking to me or whatever. And we get there and I'm like, we get out of the car and I'm having the same problem. I'm kind of just spacing, like just really not even sure. My speech is really slow. I'm having like a lot of major issues at this point in time. And I said, that's it. I'm like, just take me to the hospital. I'm not doing this at all. I'm not going to stay here. You're not going to make me. and stuff like that. Like, because at this point we had got to the Airbnb, and the Airbnb had cockroaches all in it. And we were like, at our house, we don't have cockroaches, like, at all. Like, so we're not going back, you know, in there where there's cockroaches and stuff like that when we have a house that has mold in it, probably, but whatever, you know. So I went to the hospital that night, and as I went to the hospital that night, they checked me over again. They did a chest x-ray on me and ran some more labs, and just kind of noted that I was feeling paranoid that there could be mold in my home. And this is exactly what they said, you know, talked about like how I had been seen by my doctors and I had been on multiple medications and all this stuff. I got a mental health evaluation that night at the hospital. They essentially told me that they didn't have any grounds to keep me, but I could benefit from going and being, you know, put in treatment, or, you know, whatever, in inpatient treatment or whatever for, you know, possible postpartum issues or mental health issues or whatever. I'm like, okay, you're ignoring me and what I'm saying to you. I'm saying there's something going on and you're just not listening to what I'm saying is going on. So we left there whatever at like 4 a.m. Had to go pick up our kids because they were at a friend's house or whatever. Had to go pick them up, came home. That was going to be my second night taking the new medication or whatever and stuff like that. So I took the new medication and I took it. So I took it Wednesday night, and then that's when I ended up in the hospital, was on Thursday night, early Friday morning. We got home. I took my medicine, laid down, went to sleep, didn't hardly get any sleep, couldn't sleep. I wasn't able to sleep hardly at all. Kept trying to go to sleep, couldn't sleep. Having to take more and more medications because hopefully I've moved for the last time. You're watching this, you're like, what on earth? Like, I know there's a lot of homesteaders who they like do these videos and they literally are like walking around and you're like bouncing around in their hand or whatever everywhere they go. So sorry for all of that. So Thursday morning we ended up early Friday mornings when we got home. We get home, we're trying to relocate all of our stuff, bring all of our stuff back home because we had taken 2 cars, all of this. We were gonna stay for a week at that Airbnb. It was a mess. It was a train wreck. And we were having our child's 4th birthday party the exact same day. So we had everybody over. I'm feeling pretty out of it. All day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Monday was our child's birthday, but we had a friend coming over to bring some food that day. She came over. I was feeling out of it again. She comes over, she brings the food and everything like that, and she's like, you know, has anybody checked her for like, you know, perimenopause or whatever kind of thing? And we're like, well, nobody's really checked anything. You know, we're checking little bits here and there, but we're not putting a whole picture together. We're just not doing it. Like, we're just putting bits and pieces, but we're not putting a whole picture together in this situation, and we don't know what's going on. So at this point, I am on the couch. I am unable to sleep in our room anymore because I figured, you know, maybe I just needed to like move to the couch. That'd be a better place, whatever. So I'm on the couch, not feeling well, out of it still, whatever. It started getting to the point where my husband was having to almost walk me to the bathroom and assist me in the bathroom. So Tuesday comes along, another friend comes over. She comes over, and at this point I'm almost couch bound. She had to hold our baby, and my husband had to help me to the bathroom to a shower chair that I only use after having a baby. And he had to get me on the shower chair so I could shower. And we were gonna go get some air purifiers because we thought maybe that would just help ease my mind, you know, whatever kind of thing. So medication's making me feel out of it even more, and it's also at the same exact time causing me to feel those really nasty thoughts. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, here we go again. So we come home Tuesday night, we put the air purifiers in. I try to shut it out of my mind thinking, you know, I have an appointment in the morning. I'll go to my appointment in the morning, it'll be fine. And I get up the next morning and I go to my appointment and I'm like, I'm depressed. Like, I'm not feeling well at all. And you know, it was like, okay, we'll run labs. They ran labs, you know, all my labs came back okay, which always happens, you know. And so I thought, you know, no big deal. And so I just went ahead and left it at that. But I couldn't get over the fact that the symptoms were just getting worse. They were just amplifying. We were so sick. Myself, our kids were so sick. My husband was having joint pain at this point in time. There was just weird symptoms happening. So I thought, I can't ignore it and just act like it doesn't exist, you know? So I'm like, there's gotta be mold in our house. And at this point, my mom and her husband had been in the process of bringing a chair to our home because I'd asked them to bring it down. And so they were in the process of bringing the chair to our home, whatever, and they wanted to see the grandbabies. So they say to see the grandbabies. And I said, you know, okay. So they came in, and my mom is 100% oxygen dependent. And she was like, it smells cinnamon in here. Like, and that's exactly what our kids said after the fact. They're like, it smells like spicy in our house or whatever. Nothing was going. My mom's husband proceeded to go to our basement, where he found mold on all of the beams in the basement. And our bedroom is right above it, where I had been sleeping and getting worse and getting medication thrown at me like it was candy, and ignored and passed over and told I was paranoid and everything else. So that sucked. So my husband, he decided to go ahead and get another Airbnb, because then he had proof. He had proof that there was mold down there. We never thought to look in the beams, and so he then saw that there was mold there, and he was like, okay, we're going. So we headed to another Airbnb, in which case when we got there, the Airbnb actually had mold in its basement too, because it had a door that was labeled old basement, and so it was unlocked. If you want your basement not to be seen, then lock it up. And so he went down, he said, there's mold in this basement too, we're not staying here, and they could smell it when they walked in. So we left there, and we found another one, and it was going to be in the middle of like nowhere, like I don't know how many acres, but like in the middle of nowhere, but closer to our home. So we went there instead, and we stayed for about a week. I believe there was some sort of moldiness in that house too, whatever, but it wasn't the same type of mold we have, obviously. So we got by for the week or whatever. And so the week happened, and then we thought, no big deal, it's fine. We came back, but we were not coming back to the house because my husband had said it started to get worse. Like when he would walk in, he could smell the mold. So we decided not to come back to the house. So we bought a camper, and whatever, because we had tried to get people to rent to us, and everybody said, you have too many kids, we can't rent to you. Sorry, people called me crazy because they're like, I said I'm looking for just a place to stay with our, like just for a few weeks. Everybody was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I think you're losing your mind, and like whatever, you think you have mold in your house, and you think this is, I'm like, no, I don't think, I know there's mold in the house. I'm not thinking anymore, I'm knowing. So we bought the camper, we brought it to our house, whatever, we got it set up and everything like that, and then we had another person come to check over everything. The first person told us, yeah, the mold's in the basement, whatever, it's $2,000, we'll come fix it, whatever. Then we proceeded to have a second opinion, and thankfully we did, because there's actually mold all in our entire attic of our house also, so not just in the basement, but in the attic also. So we have mold in the attic, mold in the basement, and our bedroom is like right in between there. Thankfully our older kids were not in that side of the house. I literally have sweat pouring like off my face and everything like that. It's so gross out here right now. And so yeah, so we were like, well, this kind of justifies, why we were so sick and everything like that. Not paranoid, sick. Like we were actually sick because there was mold in our home and it was making us sick, And so then we've had people who have been like, well, why did you buy a camper when you could have just, put that into remediation? You could have done this. So when we contacted the remediation company or whatever. I was listening. There was neighbors over there making some sound. I'm not used to them yet. So when we were told about the remediation was going back inside, buddy. When we were told about the remediation, it was going to be $13,000. $13,000 is a lot, you know, when you have a lot of kids and you have a lot going on, and my husband had just had to miss work for so long to be home with me, and then we had medical bills and we had just everything going on at the same exact time. You know, $13,000 is not something like cheap, you know, and so people didn't stop to realize how much that actually is and the overallness of everything. So we had, so it's gonna be $13,000 for the remediation fees, and then I have a certain little one under my feet. I'm sitting on the tractor, so if you hear all that clanging, banging, that is so not me. So $13,000 for remediation fees, and they would have to be in the house for 2 weeks full time. So where would we go? Because we had tried so many times to get a rental, to stay with somebody, just crash in their basement, you name it, and nobody would let us come stay with them, whatever. So yeah, so we're here on our property in a camper. We are trying still to move, or you know, whatever, we're trying to get something done. We don't even know what we're going to be able to do at this point in time, and everything like that, because there's so many factors. We have so many people giving us so many different pieces of advice, but no actual meat, you know, like nothing like that, whatever. Or people, you know, we're very grateful for all the donations that have came in so far, but we keep trying to tell people that in the overallness of all of this, there's a lot of expense going into it. You know, we now are having to, we're now having to pay for a camper and pay for our house and the remediation and the, you know, just the cost of living and like living in a smaller space, and half of our stuff that is in our house, whatever, you can't just take it with you. Like, I think people don't grasp that, whatever, that you have, like, when you have mold like this, you know, we have not had it tested and know what kind it is, but when you have mold, you actually can't take everything with you. So a lot of it has to be replaced and stuff like that, you know? And so fellow homeschool moms probably get it when you realize, like, I got to replace curriculum, I've got to replace books, I've got to replace my library, I've got to replace toys, I've got to replace, you know, like clothes can be washed, shoes, you're pushing it a little bit, but like, I mean, I can't just throw my library in the washing machine, you know. And then in the meantime, like food, you know, our camper has 3 little burners or whatever. We don't have an oven in it. We have a microwave in it, but we don't have an oven in it. So like when you go from the kitchen that you guys have seen in our videos to like this, it's like I got nothing, you know. So like we need a toaster oven, which, you know, we have all of these lists actually that I am going to post in the comments below, whatever. And so that by no means am I asking for anybody to buy anything or give anything or do anything. That is not what I am making this video for. But I have had people ask me, how can I help? What can I do? Is there anything started for you guys? Because some people really understand the magnitude of all of it, because there is not only the home that we now have to remediate, but now we have to replace a lot of our stuff, because my husband has been in the house, whatever. Some of our kids have walked into the house, whatever, and even just walking in the house, like we had one of our kids walk in there earlier to grab something out and was in and out wearing a mask and everything, mask and gloves, came out, and she's like, my face is just pounding, my face hurts or whatever. Like, it's that bad, and we can't keep going in and out of it. We don't have help with getting it cleaned up, even like our stuff moved around in it to even do anything about it, you know. Like, there's still so much to do. And like I said, people are offering all of their advice, you know, like, why don't you refinance your home? Like, that would solve it. Just refinance your home, whatever, even though you're in the process of moving and you were in the process of moving to start, but refinance it, do this and do that. And you know, people love to give you advice, but advice isn't helping in this situation, because my husband and I, we are very much like trying to balance all of the things, you know, like where do we go and what do we do and whatever, because, you know, I mean, can we live in the camper through the winter? Yes. Will it be really hard? Yes. Have we lived in a really small space before? Yes. We lived in a tiny house with 6 kids. You know, so there's so many things going on over, but like right now we just, you know, there's lost wages, there's, you know, hospital visits that we had to do, supplementation, fixing our bodies now that we've gone through this, whatever, trying to heal our bodies and trying to feel better from what has happened, and the, you know, just the poison of, you know, anybody who's ever been in a, trying to get off the tractor without, you know, crashing my face. Anybody who's ever been in a home like this, whatever, you know that like it's not an easy thing. It's not just a straightforward thing where you just, you know, you take a vitamin and you feel better in the morning. It's a long journey. It's a long healing process. You have to heal, and healing doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. You know, I'm proof of that right now. I mean, it's been almost 3 weeks since I've been in our home, and I have to say, whatever, that it's a lot, you know. Okay. But healing doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a month. You know, whatever, because like I said, I mean, I haven't been in the house for almost 3 weeks, and I mean, just a little bit of exposure that I'm getting from people walking in and out and things like that. And we are having to wash our clothes in the house. Thankfully, our laundry room is at the front of the house, so it's easy for people to get in and get out. But it's still a lot, you know, and we're trying our best to like make sure we don't contaminate any of the clothes by quickly washing, drying, and then exiting the house as fast as we can. I know we could go to a laundromat, but when you have this many people, it's a lot to try to do that when you're trying to balance everything else already. So with all of that being said, it is a lot, you know, and I know people mean well by what they say and what they do and stuff like that, but right now in this season, it's really not helpful when you're already physically and mentally and emotionally exhausted, and people give you another like, well, what if, or how about, or, you know, whatever. You feel more overwhelmed than if somebody showed up at your front door with boots, mask, you know, gloves, and ready to work, you know, and said like, hey, can I help you? You know, we've had a few people bring us meals, and we're grateful for that. But those are very far, you know, far out there, like, you know, they're spaced out so far that, you know, you get a meal here or there, whatever, and, you know, people don't stop in to ask you how you're doing. So you feel like you're kind of out in the middle of the ocean drowning by yourself because you feel like nobody cares, you know. Sometimes it really sucks, whatever, and so like that. And, you know, being a mom and I have a 6-month-old, you know, so your emotions are everywhere. And then when you have the home that you really thought was going to be your forever home turn into something like this, it's really hard because you're grieving that loss, you know, that loss of I can't just go back in, you know, and I'm not going to be able to just go back in and pretend like it never happened. And I've already said before, I don't want to go back in. Because of how sick it made me or whatever, you know, even with remediating it completely, hopefully very, very soon, I don't want to go back in because of what it caused me, like, you know, and it's cost me a lot too, and stuff like that, you know. So I just don't want to be back in it, you know. So in this season, you know, people who are praying for us, whatever, I really appreciate it, and, you know, of course, keep sending them up. But there are many other needs. Like I said, I will link in the description or in the comments below. We did have a GoFundMe. I don't personally like that platform. So we have a Venmo. We have a Amazon school list. We have an Amazon house list. There's bugs everywhere. An Amazon house list or whatever, because, you know, we do need a few things, whatever, for the camper. And like I said, you know, right now everything is just really, it's just really hard, you know. I'm thankful that we had the experience that we had 10 years ago where we moved into a tiny house, so we lived in a small space before, you know, so like I'm thankful that God gave us that experience to use. It's not ideal, like, at all, but I am thankful that I learned some things years ago to hopefully get me through the season, you know, and stuff like that. I'm currently trying to manage without any antidepressants or medications, because even the one that I was taking recently, I feel like it wasn't really helping as much as I wanted it to. So I'm trying to use supplements and get more sleep and drink more and eat more and rest more and just really try to, like, you know, get back to being myself. It's a little hard because we have 8 kids, and when my husband works, they are long hours, and I'm by myself trying to manage all of them. Yes, we have teenagers, but for anybody who has teenagers, you know that teenagers get really fed up really fast, you know, and stuff like that, especially when you're in like a little over 200 square feet. You know, it gets really hairy really fast, so you don't want to be around each other as much or play as much or, you know, whatever. So with that being said, you know, we you know, are really hopeful that in the coming weeks or, you know, whatever, we can maybe jump back on here and give you another update on everything and stuff like that. For those of you who will be praying for us, whatever, just pray that, you know, something comes through quickly, whether it be in the form of like property that we can just take this to, or something like that. But for those of you who are going to be praying for us, whatever, into that, just pray that something comes through kind of quickly, that we can get, even if we have to move our camper onto a piece of property. We're even looking for property right now that maybe is equipped to handle us moving onto it in our camper and everything like that. Pray for healing for all of us who have had it. Like, in the middle of all this video, I have had to stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. Our oldest had to come out and help me with something a minute ago. And then our youngest was trying to, one of our youngest was trying to like throw the bucket around on the tractor that I was sitting on. But our oldest had came out and she informed me, she's like, Mom, my head and my throat and like whatever, literally from just going into the house and coming back out. So it's a lot, you know, and it's a lot like right now in the season for me, because I'm just trying to be the mom and I'm trying to take care of everybody and make sure that they're taken care of and be as much help as I can to my husband, you know, in this season, even though I'm not a whole lot of help because I don't know half of what's going on with all of this. But, you know, just to kind of pray for us in this season that, you know, like something positive comes out of it quickly. And that we, you know, I continue to feel better not taking medication, because I don't like it. Literally, it numbs everything about me, and I hate that. It makes me like this emotionless zombie, you know, and stuff like that. And I feel so ridiculous when I'm taking it, but then when I'm not taking it, I have, you know, the anxiety of coming off of it. A lot of you guys will know what I'm talking about. I was talking to my mom earlier about this. When you come off medication, you're cranky, you're, you know, all over the place, whatever. And then when you're dealing with a lot, I have to keep reminding myself that I'm dealing with a lot, and it's not ideal what I'm going through right now. I know a lot of people who are going through worse than me, you know, and I get it. It sucks so bad. It doesn't matter how much, you know, much faith you have. It doesn't, you know, it's really hard. But I'm praying that, you know, hopefully in the coming weeks, whatever, you know, myself and our kids start to feel better, you know, and stuff like that, and things change and everything. And, you know, for those of you who want to bless us in other ways, I will link all the things down in the comments below. And for those things, we're grateful too. You know, a lot of people end up giving anonymously, and then we don't know who to thank. That's kind of a thing there. We're like, we don't even know who you are, but thank you, you know, whatever. But yeah, And one thing that I want people to know, again, I hate crying, but like when I don't take a medicine, I'm a blubbering mess, which my husband does not like some days. Always trust your gut when it comes to things like this. Don't let people, whether it just be people in general, which has happened, or even the medical community, make you feel like something is wrong with you when you know something's off, but you can't pinpoint it. You know, I've seen this way too much lately with the mold toxicity people and the mast cell people and everything like that. And I mean, even people who have alpha-gal and things like that, you know, like, you know something's wrong, you feel it, you know it, and you're searching for answers, and you just want to be heard, and you want to be listened to, and you want to be, you know, people to actually listen to what you have to say and not treat you like you're crazy, or you need another medication, or you need this, or get out of here, or, you know, whatever kind of thing. Always trust your gut. You know, always trust that you know how you feel, you know, and that something is not right, you know, because even like last year, I can look back and see that this was starting last year when I was pregnant, and I kept feeling like I was going to pass out, because that even happened recently. I thought I was going to pass out, and I wasn't feeling very well. Like, different things just kept happening to me. And I told my husband, like, it cannot be like, you know, oh, it's just perimenopause, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. I'm like, we have kids who are having the same symptoms as myself, you know. And back in March, I was living off of Benadryl and Mucinex and salines and tea that was 200 degrees, you know, and I couldn't even sweep the floor in our garage without getting myself into a hacking mess. And last year, we went walking before I got pregnant, and I think it's like, I don't know, 2 miles or something like that. And it's not even that crazy, but we were walking right around our house, whatever. And all of a sudden, I was walking up the hill, and it's not even a crazy hill. And I was like, I can't breathe. And I was like, I feel like an old man, like, who'd smoked 10 packs of cigarettes for a decade. I was like, I can't breathe. And I thought, did I just develop asthma out of nowhere? Like, what the heck, you know? And in my pregnancy, I had to live off of Zyrtec because I couldn't even like get up and function without trying to pass out. My ears felt stuffy. I just felt sick, whatever, and stuff like that. So I think even last year, that's why I had a lot of the issues I had, was because our house had mold in it. It maybe wasn't to this degree. I don't know. I don't know what happened, how it happened. I don't know. I just know that it happened, and now we have been extremely sick from it, you know. Since moving out of the house, my appetite has returned. My sleep is fine. When I get to bed, I sleep just fine with very minimal help of getting to sleep. And I overall feel better in those regards. I can see those symptoms. It's just the mental part now. And I'm sure all of you know that, like, that's kind of how it goes, whatever. It's like the mental part is the last thing to go. It's the last thing to be relieved, you know. I mean, all the other symptoms, I'm having, you know, hardly any symptoms anymore, whatever. But it's like just kind of that brain fog and that drain and that dreamy feeling and, you know, whatever. You go through a lot of difference with that, you know. And also to add to that, looking back, this is what happened after our 6th child was born. My father's house was right next to our tiny house, and my father's home had mold in it also. And I think that is why I got so sick after she was born, was because we were over there all the time and I didn't know it. Just like being in our house, whatever, I didn't really know. I just felt off. And I see the same symptoms this time around that I had back then too. And I can now put the two of them together and realize this is what was causing the problem. And, you know, now it's, again, the healing, you know, now trying to find a doctor who will listen to me and take me seriously, and not blow me off, because all of them now want to send me to a psychiatrist and be like, oh, you need drugs, and oh, you whatever. It's not like, oh, we want to help your body to get better, because now we know what's probably the problem, you know, because conveniently, like, all my labs came back fine. So, you know, that's kind of funny like that, right? So now just to kind of find, you know, who's going to help me along with it and everything like that. And just, you know, again, those other areas of need and stuff like that, you know, my husband and I have said before, we don't like reaching out to ask for things. We just don't at all. Like we love to be the people who just help people. We don't like to be helped. We don't like that at all, because not because it makes us feel weak, but it feels like there are people who are struggling far harder than ourselves, and we like to try to help them way more than helping ourselves. I'm sure there's a lot of you who get the same thing, whatever, like you would buy yourself a simple like $1 burger, and you would give your friend or someone else a gourmet meal, same thing goes for us. Whatever, we would rather just be like, okay, we're just gonna help everybody else, but forget it on ourselves, whatever, but the needs are still there. We still need to raise a decent amount of money in order to finish the remediation type stuff and to get moved, because we were in the process of moving anyway, because our kids want to be closer to their friends, which would help with some of the healing too, I'm sure. So we still want to get moved back. The house was a lot to care for anyway, and now especially with like this going on, so we want to just get moved back, in a smaller area, closer to all of our friends, and be able to heal a lot more, hopefully. So for all of those who have watched this video, which was going to be a very short video, and then it turned into a very long video, thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, just put in the comments below. I'll try to answer, and I try to cover most of it and everything. Don't know that I covered everything, and just to know that we're trying to do our best, but the bills don't stop, just because something's happening like this. And before people ask to, insurance will cover nothing. We've already checked. They act like it's a pre-existing problem, and they will touch nothing of it. So nothing is covered. So we are paying for our home and our camper at the same exact time, and living in a camper in our driveway. You can kind of see the camper over here, and so we're living in our camper in the driveway currently until we can find property to move the camper to, and just get off of the property altogether, and therefore hopefully the remediation can take place and get all of our stuff out. And so I'd love a little tiny homestead somewhere on the edge of town where we were going. Will we get that? I don't know, but you can be praying for that too. And stuff like that. If we have to live in the camper for a while, I'm okay with that too. I really became so accustomed to my large pantry, and now it's consolidated to a couple little shelves, which is a little bit much for myself. And raising a large family in such a small space is quite a task. Some of our kids, they do want to do a video for you guys in the coming weeks, whatever. They want to do a tour of our camper, because I was telling somebody today, I said, I think people think when they think of a family of 10 living in 200 and something square feet, they think we're piled in like sardines and it's just a mess, whatever, and it's really not. So I know our kids really want to get a video up for you guys of the camper. I know I have a kid who is just itching to decorate the camper. We've been in it for a week and a half now. We moved in it not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. So we've been in it almost 2 weeks now. But again, it's a really slow process with the healing. And I was afraid I wouldn't even be able to make this video tonight, because I have been so tired. My body is so tired right now. My mind is so tired. That I was afraid I wouldn't make it. So I'm glad that I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go make it, because I told our neighbor's husband who watches it, so shout out to Martina. Her husband came up last week, and I was talking to him about all of it, and I said, I'm gonna try to get a video together so Martina can hear all the story, and everything like that. So, if nobody else watches it, I know Martina's gonna be listening in, and stuff like that. But yeah, so like I said, just keep praying for us that, we heal well and we feel well soon, and that life can go back to how it was before, and we can feel better, and that, I know our debts won't be erased. So, we've got this huge house that we now have to try to sell after we remediate it, and like I said, we have the expense of the camper, and just everything else that keeps piling in right now, whatever. So just be praying for all those things for us. And like I've said a couple times already, if you feel led to bless us in other ways, I will link everything below, and thank you in advance. But If not, that's okay too. Your prayers are welcome. But until next time, guys, take care.